Hey everybody, this is Matt with GBoost Technology again. We are continuing our tech series of golf cart videos. Today we're working on the all-new E-Z-Go Valor EX1. This cart has a 150cc Kymco engine. E-Z-Go and Kymco had paired to make this happen. The cart does really well on flat surfaces with light workloads. However, it does struggle a little bit on terrain and heavy workloads, maybe a 4-passenger or a heavier workload situation. We have combated that and fixed that with our product, and we are going to show you how to install that, make your cart perform how it should. We are offering clutch calibration kits for this machine for various applications. We're also offering drive belts and clutch roller weights. Now you guys are ready to jump right into the calibration kit install. Place the cart in park, remove the key, make sure you're on a level surface. You're going to want to raise the rear end so we can remove the driver's rear tire. With your safety in mind, you should place jack stands. The best place to place them is in front of the tires on the subframe. After the cart is safely off the ground, we are going to want to gain access to the clutches. The first step would be to remove the driver's rear tire. The next step is to remove the inner fender well. There are 4 pop darts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. The best way to take these out is with a side cutter or a flat screwdriver. After you get the inner fender out of the way, our next step is to remove the clutch shroud. There are 8 screws holding this in. You'll need to remove them all and then remove the shroud through the back. They do have these pretty tight from the factory, so typically I'll take a 1/2-inch extension, brace it against the fins of the clutch, and loosen the clutch that way. You're going to want to take the drive clutch apart. This comes off in 2 pieces. There is a nut and a spacer. Once those are off, the outer sheave can be removed. After the outer sheave of the drive clutch is removed, you're going to come back to the driven clutch, remove this nut and washer, along with the outer bell. And then the remainder of the driven clutch. Once the driven clutch and belt are removed, you can remove the inner sheave of the drive clutch, along with the rollers and the roller housing. Once your clutches are removed, we can go on to installing the new clutch components. You're going to want to install your driven clutch without the bell housing onto the DCP-21. Install your hold down fixture. And snug down your nut. Once you have your nut snugged down, you're going to want to remove the keeper nut on the clutch. This is easiest done with a hammer and a chisel. Be cautious not to damage any components. Once that is knocked loose, I usually just use my hands. We're then going to release the spring pressure and remove the spring. As with all of our videos, spring color does vary per kit. Depending on your application, you will have different springs, so please don't reference this video for color. From the factory, there are plastic washers on the spring. These do not need to be reused. Once we have everything apart and clean, we can begin reassembly on the driven clutch. First step would be to reinstall on the DCP-21. Place your new GBoost spring. Place the top half of the driven clutch. Your clutch keeper nut, hold down fixture, washer, and compression nut. Then you can begin compressing the spring. There are 2 flat alignment tabs on the clutch that you have to be cautious of, but it does go together relatively easy. Then reinstall our keeper nut. And I'm going to chisel it back tight. Once everything is torqued, we can remove the clutch from the DCP21. E-Z-GO does offer the torque specs in the manuals, so make sure to check that. Once your driven clutch is reassembled, we can move on to the drive clutch. This is a little bit more simple. We're going to start by removing the alignment pin, then we can remove the roller housing and the roller weights. This is a really good time to clean everything out. You're going to want to use a Scotch-Brite pad or similar to lightly scuff the sheaves of the clutch. You're also going to want to scuff the inside of the bell housing for the driven clutch. Once you do have everything clean and scuffed, we can install the new GBoost roller weights. There's 6 of them in this machine. Once those are installed, you can install the weight housing. Keeping that tight, we can install our alignment pin. Once our clutches are reassembled, we can begin installation back into the cart. The first step would be to install the inside sheave of the drive clutch. Make sure that this housing stays tight to the clutch so your rollers stay in alignment. We can install our new GBoost severe duty drive belt onto the clutch. These belts are not directional, but it is always a smart idea to install with the letters facing you. Install the assembly. This might take 2 hands. Once our belt is all the way up around the output shaft, we can then install the bell housing back onto the clutch. Our washer and our nut, and torque to spec. We can then install the outer sheave of our drive clutch. This is splined. Make sure it lines up right. Then install your spacer and your nut. You're going to want to tighten this definitely by hand, and you're going to want to keep the whole assembly rolling as you go so the belt does not bind up on the clutch. Once the belt's fully seated, I can use my extension again, being careful not to break any fins off, and use that to hold the clutch and torque to spec. We can then install the shroud with the 8 bolts and torque to spec. And then reinstall the fender well with our 4 push rivets. Once everything is in place and all looks well, we can reinstall our tire. Again on this, check with the manufacturer for torque specs. Now that the cart is reassembled and back together, time to run out and enjoy it. I want to thank you guys for watching today. You can reach us at our number here at the shop, at GBoostTechnology.com, or on Facebook and YouTube.